All right, let's jump right into this explainer and investigate what is arguably the greatest unsolved mystery in all of fantasy lore, the apocalyptic destruction of the Valyrian freehold. We're talking about an event that didn't just topple a government, but literally shattered a continent, completely redrew the maps of the known world, and left behind this scarred, toxic wasteland that absolutely terrifies sailors to this very day. I mean, just think about the sheer incomprehensible scale of this for a second. For 5,000 years, the Valyrians conquered nations and completely reshaped the known world. They were the absolute masters of their domain, totally unrivaled in the skies and on the battlefield. And yet, their entire civilization turned to ash almost instantly. No survivors in the capital. It drops us right into a terrifying, world-breaking crime scene. We are talking about 5 millennia of accumulated knowledge, magic, and supreme power wiped out in roughly 60 minutes. How does something that unimaginably powerful just disappear? So Phase 1, the glory and, quite frankly, the horror of Valyria. To really grasp the scale of this devastation, we've got to look at what they actually lost. The Valyrians, they essentially had godlike abilities. They didn't just build their cities, they forged them. Using incredibly hot dragon flame, they could actually turn solid stone to liquid and then shape it purely with their will. They created these seamless alien structures, like the Great Black Walls of Volantis, which are these massive fortresses without a single chisel mark or drop of mortar. They forged indestructible blades that held actual magical properties. They achieved a level of architecture and metallurgy that the rest of the world just viewed as pure, untouchable magic. But, and this is a massive but, this awe-inspiring utopia came with a truly horrific price tag. You know, this wasn't just some enlightened society of silver-haired dragon raiders. It was a ruthless empire built right on the broken backs of millions. Generations of slaves were forced into the blistering, toxic heat of the 14 Flames volcanoes, dying in the dark just to fund Valyrian wealth. And it gets worse. Down in the flesh pits of their penal colony, Gorgosos, they practiced dark blood magic. They engaged in horrifying biological engineering, literally blending human beings and beasts into living, tortured weapons. It proved they really believed they had mastered life itself, acting entirely without consequence. Which brings us to Phase 2, the Day of the Doom. All of that boundless arrogance would absolutely be their undoing. It leads us straight to the day the world literally cracked open and swallowed them whole. The first-hand accounts of the destruction, the ones recorded in ancient histories read by characters like Tyrion Lannister, they describe an absolute hellscape. We're talking about the land physically tearing apart, lakes and rivers instantly boiling into highly corrosive acid. The heat venting from the earth was so incredibly intense that even the mighty dragons, creatures literally born of fire, were incinerated right out of the sky. It was annihilation on an unprecedented, almost biblical scale. And the timeline here is just terrifying. It was a rapid, unstoppable domino effect. We're not talking about the slow, tragic decline of an empire. In literally 1 minute, the massive volcanic chain known as the 14 Flames detonated simultaneously. Within an hour, the very crust of the peninsula fractured and completely collapsed into the ocean. And shortly after that, 300-foot walls of boiling water rushed in, drowning surrounding islands like Velos and erasing hundreds of thousands of lives before anyone could even process what was happening. Moving on to Phase 3, magic, sabotage, or curse. Now, officially, the history books write this off as a natural disaster. But come on, in our forensic investigation here, we've got to look at the darker theories about who or what actually pulled the trigger. We know Valyrian fire magers used highly complex spells to keep those volatile 14 flames from erupting. So did the Faceless Men, that deadly guild of assassins founded by the desperate, tortured slaves in those very mines, did they systematically assassinate those magers to cause a catastrophic system failure? Or did the ancient, watery curses of their conquered enemies, like Garen the Great of the Rhoynar, finally break their magical containment? I mean, the timing of simultaneous eruptions is just way too perfect to write off as a mere coincidence, right? Next up, Phase 5, the deadly smoking sea. Whatever actually caused that initial blast, the ruins left behind are arguably way more terrifying than the explosion itself. Fast forward to the present day, the environment is now known as the Smoking Sea, and it remains a demon-haunted, bubbling wasteland. It actively, violently punishes anyone who tries to reclaim its lost wealth. Like, shortly after the Doom, an emperor named Orion marched 30,000 men right into the ruins to claim the ashes. The entire army vanished, not a single trace left behind. And as we see with characters like Jorah Mormont, these toxic ruins are crawling with volatile exiles known as the Stone Men, who will infect any trespasser with the deadly, petrifying disease known as grayscale. But honestly, absolutely nothing proves the sheer hostility of this poisoned ecosystem quite like the dark fate of Princess Arya Targaryen. She actually managed to claim and fly the largest dragon in history, Balerion the Black Dread, straight into the ruins of Valyria. When she returned, this previously invincible dragon was deeply wounded, covered in massive bleeding gashes dealt by something completely unseen in the ash. And worse, Arya herself died screaming, quite literally burning from the inside out. When they plunged her into ice water, horrific, heat-adapted winged parasites with faces erupted from her skin. Valyria isn't just a ruined city anymore, it is mutated into an ecosystem that is aggressively, monstrously alive. Finally, Phase 6. An enduring fan obsession. This horrifying, totally unsolved mystery has really transcended the source material to become this massive cultural phenomenon all on its own. Because the exact mechanics of the Doom are left so perfectly vague, and the aftermath is so exceptionally terrifying, it acts as the ultimate blank canvas for fans. It inspires endless Reddit debates analyzing its vast mythology. You see people constantly comparing it to the hubris and fall of Tolkien's Atlantis. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final, pretty chilling question to chew on about the ultimate price of absolute power. When a civilization truly believes it has mastered the very forces of reality, building its towering wealth on a foundation of endless cruelty and unchecked ambition, do you believe the Doom was a precise, engineered assassination by the faceless men, or was it simply nature, pushed far, far beyond its absolute limits, violently taking back control? Think about it, and let the mystery of the smoking sea burn in your mind.